Early on, rocking and rolling here on a Friday. Love to see it on the SportsGrid network here. And the NFL was taking center stage last night. By the way, 3 NFL games last night in the preseason, only 4 in Major League Baseball. With those Major League Baseball games a little bit later in the show, but the focus last night certainly was on a quarterback competition from the Charm City. And that competition didn't have anything to do with Lamar Jackson. It had to do with Daniel Jones and also Anthony Richardson. What's taking place now? We talked in the odds market, Joe. Minus 350s were on the board yesterday to start game number 1 of the regular season for Anthony Richardson. We debated yesterday, what do we think is going to happen with the Colts? And I said, barring injury, I don't even care how Anthony Richardson plays. He will be the starting quarterback in week number 1. Now, here we find ourselves on a Friday morning, watch a little bit of the game. Richardson was 2 of 3 for 21 yards, gets crushed on a sack that just came free from a pass rushing edge for the Baltimore Ravens. And now we're having the conversation, is it just Daniel Jones' team? But before we get there, the Ravens win 24-16. The Colts are trying to work things out at the quarterback position. I just can't get excited about this Colts team. And even watching Daniel Jones taking sacks, 10 of 21 against backup defenses, no touchdown passes. Matter of fact, the Colts didn't even throw a touchdown pass the entire night and got beat here. This looks like it could be a disastrous, boring season for the Indianapolis Colts, Joe.
We're going to see what the prop is on Riley Leonard being the starting quarterback by the time we get to week 6 or 7 here, Donnie. And if we're being honest, what's the difference between him and Danny Dimes anyway? I loved what he had to say at the end of the game. And this is a kid that, was part of the national championship last year. And this was a guy that, he's like, I got to make the adjustments to the NFL here. Obviously, I just can't think escape routes are the way to go. He's like, I'm learning. And there's hope for a kid like him maybe to come into his own while everyone is focused on Richardson, who's never going to stay healthy, let's be honest. And Danny Dimes, we already know what we're going to get. So, ironically, Riley Leonard here, your rookie quarterback, might be the one that is the best out of all of them come the middle of the season.
Like, you look at Baltimore, right? Like, Cooper Rush is playing 2 of 4 passing. And then you have Devin Leary, not Dennis Leary, the actor, Devin Leary. By the way, 5 completed passes for the Baltimore Ravens for roughly 60 yards total in the game, and they still won. Like, you saw the violent line swing in this game. Oh, the Colts are really in it here. But also, just getting back to Anthony Richardson for myself, our struggles with him aren't the talent itself. Maybe he's inaccurate. We get that. You have to be available to play football games. And you can no longer just like, well, what do you want? He got hit. He broke his, everything, every game, it feels like. It's something new for Richardson. This injury, that injury. I'm tired. I don't feel like playing. I don't study my playbook. Now I'm getting benched at this point. It's almost like you're getting this in the preseason saying, the decision should be already made. We're just going to go Daniel Jones. We hope we win 2 football games and hope we get a really good quarterback in the draft next year. It's never going to work for Anthony Richardson. And last night was just a microcosm, right? First couple snaps of preseason game number 1. He's already injured, Joe. Like, you don't cut the bait and say, okay, we're going to cut him right now and move on. He's going to be on this football team. But it's already out there. Hey, can he play 16, 17 games? He can't play a quarter in the preseason, Joe.
No. And listen, it was never a matter of athletic ability. The guy's got a cannon. He can run. But when you're going to be the franchise quarterback, you better be together above the shoulders. And he's just not there. I mean, they're asking this kid who's had 2 years, Donnie, of quarterback experience now, 1 year at Florida and last year here with the Colts. You're asking this kid to grow up from a maturity level and be a leader in what? Within the first 3 years as a quarterback? And then you're asking him to understand the blitzes and everything else on it. Like, you're putting this kid in a position to fail big time. And let's face it, at this point, he's not going to be able to stay healthy to play a season anyway. Who are we kidding?
Exactly. And I look at Daniel Jones, like, he's still Daniel Jones from the Giants. Like, did he just morph over and say, okay, Shane Steichen's actually a real offensive coordinator / head coach. He'll get him in gear. Like, he was so pedestrian yesterday as it is. Well, he threw for 144 yards. You just watch the passes going up against the backups. It's like, he's just Daniel Jones. He's not going to do anything for this team. Maybe it doesn't embarrass you, but he's not going to lead to victories. But what I did like out of this preseason game yesterday certainly wasn't Daniel Jones or the quarterback competition for Anthony Richardson Sr., Cooper Rush, or Devin Leary. There's a couple bright spots there on the Baltimore Ravens. Keaton Mitchell looks as fast as ever. I love him as that satellite running back, almost like that Sproles ×2 with speed. He had 9 carries for 68 yards and a touchdown, which included a great 23-yard touchdown run. How about LeJontay Wester? If you don't remember him last year from Colorado, explosive player, a 6th-round draft pick for the Baltimore Ravens, looked unbelievable in special teams, made a nice couple catches there. So I look at the Ravens like that's that well-oiled machine I like. You don't get a lot out of these games, but Keaton Mitchell looks like he's back, and maybe Wester can be a player on special teams for those Ravens.
Well, we were talking about Mitchell a couple of seasons ago, if you forgot. Like, we saw flashes of this kid being absolutely ridiculous. Then he got hurt and was just not the same player when he came back. So now he's 100% healthy. And what you saw last night is that is one heck of a change of pace back for Derrick Henry. And then you got to deal with Mitchell, 2 totally different runners, 2 totally different styles. And you throw Lamar in there. That's a good thing. But the backups have to figure out how to pass the ball. You got to be kidding me, Cooper. Like, what was that last night?
By the way, did you notice there was a guy in the game for the Indianapolis Colts who had 3 catches for 18 yards named Ajou? A-J-O-U, A-J-O-U. How about that name here?
Impressive.
By the way, it says he's from Garden City Community College in Kansas. I don't even know anything about this guy, but I see his picture. It shows from USF at this point. So how about that guy?
Wow.
Could he make the team? What a name. That doesn't matter. Name on the back is the name on the front, like we like to say.
Anything is possible here. Anything. But, also give credit to the Colts defense last night, especially the pass defense. They held their own last night. It's not like Cooper Rush is a rookie. And it wasn't like they weren't trying to throw the ball. So, the defense of the Colts could be the best unit for a while on this team moving forward this year.
Yeah, showing here. It says the total yards passing as a team were 49, so I don't know how that factors into maybe sacks or whatever it is. But you took a look at the passing yards, 240 for the Colts. Like, oh, they must have had a really good quarterback battle. Oh, they must have won that game easy. No, they lost. So congratulations to the people who say, hey, I'm going to ride that steam and bet it here. 1.5 to 6.5 at game time. How about a 24-16 victory for those Baltimore Ravens here? Just the way it sort of plays out. Big dog night across the landscape here in the NFL preseason. And that game number 1 we watched out last night, the Baltimore Ravens. Shame on you people for not backing the Baltimore Ravens if you didn't last night. More National Football League talk in the preseason coming up next right here on the SportsGrid Network. Football, more football. Triple header yesterday in the NFL. Had a couple early games in the late night out on the West Coast there between the Seattle Seahawks and the Las Vegas Raiders, which we'll get to. But in the city of brotherly love, the NFL champions here. Why? Because they won the Super Bowl last year, taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. And this was an intriguing game to us because usually it's like, okay, Bengals not going to play any starters. Eagles not going to play any starters. What a boring game. But we start hearing from Zach Taylor saying, no more slow starts in Cincinnati, Joe Ranieri. We're going to put our best players on the field and let them rip. And Joe Burrow did that. 9 of 10 for $123, 2 touchdowns, played a couple series in that game. That offense looks like it's moving. Now, granted, the Philadelphia Eagles defense was playing its backups. You understand that. But those were the expectations. Let's get hot. Let's get in. Let's get out. Let's score some points and see what happens. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles did end up winning this game, Joe. But what did you think about the Cincinnati Bengals playing their offensive starters in that game? They looked pretty smooth.
I got to tell you, it's pretty funny. I mean, Burrow ended up dropping back to pass more times last night than he has his entire preseason career, Donnie. That tells you exactly what you need to know. Like, they went out there and said, we're going to change this thing up. We're going to get our guys, the starters, the reps. We don't care if it's against the backups. And it's exactly what you would expect it to get. 9 of 10, $123, and 2 touchdowns. They got 15 reps. And it was exactly spreading around. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, everybody got involved. Chase Brown, everything you would hope to get out of those 15 reps, you got out of them. Kudos to the Bengals for mixing it up and trying something different.
Yeah, how about that, too? The Sharps out here on the street, pushing that line all the way up to 6.5. What an easy victory for those Cincinnati Bengals. Certainly not the case yesterday. If you would have told me before the game started, 268 team passing yards for the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow was on fire, you probably thought that the Philadelphia Eagles got absolutely wasted in this game. Because game number 1 of the preseason, like we call it preseason week 0, you got an absolute blowout in that Detroit Lions-Los Angeles Chargers game. You might have thought you were looking for the same thing. Hey, one team's probably going to play better players than the other. Wasn't the case. Why? Tanner McKee was fantastic yesterday. 20 of 25 for 252 and 2 touchdowns. Now, understand this, too. where social media is out there, beat writers are there. We have more information than we would know what to do with in the past 20 years when you used to look at preseason football. You had no idea what the depth charts were. The word on the street was we probably weren't going to see a lot of Tanner McKee in game number 1. It'd be more Kyle McCord and maybe Dorian Thompson-Robinson. You saw a lot of Tanner McKee. Got 25 passes completed, 20 for 252 and 2 yesterday. He looked like the better quarterback on the field going up against Joe Burrow. Now, granted, again, it is the preseason, but most people reading the clippings here saying, yes, we understand how this game is going to play out. That's why that line moved all the way, only to tune in and be like, wait a second. McKee's playing damn near the whole game. He wasn't even supposed to play in this game, Joe.
No, we didn't think he was playing in this game. And then not only did it play, they let him air it out. But when you break it down on what he did, he was 5 of 6 for 73 yards and a rushing touchdown against the starters. He played for 2 series against the Bengals first team defense. And those were his numbers against the starters of the Bengals. Then he went 9 of 11, $120 and 2 touchdowns to close the rest of the game, rest of the half. I mean, what else do you want from the kid? He had 153.2 QBR rating. He scored 3 total touchdowns, and the Eagles, I think, scored in 4 of the 5 first half possessions that he was on the field for. So what else do you want? I mean, the win-win for everybody involved in that preseason game.
By the way, also, in college football, Joe, it's like, hey, man, which I never understand. Let's have a little bit of fun with this. Like, when I was in college, I was number 13. You would think of somebody else like, hey, man, I play defense. I want to be 13. Like, you're not wearing my number ever at this point now. I never understood where somebody's a number 1 on offense and a number 1 on defense. Like, don't you want to just be that individual and that superstar yourself? I'm looking at the box score right now for the Philadelphia Eagles. I've never seen this before. Like, Shedeur Powell, it says number 39-0, which means there's 2 39s. Darius Cooper, the wide receiver, number 41, offense here. Taylor Morin, number 45, offense. I don't know if I've ever seen that listed here with multiple numbers like that. So here we go. Just like in college, looks like in the preseason, guys just wearing random numbers out here.
I think there was a kicker last night that was wearing 33 too, which made no sense. Like, what are we doing? Like, linebackers wear 0. Like, what is happening? It used to be, right, if you were a defensive player, linebacker, you were in the 50s. I don't care what it was.
Yes.
That was what you were. That's what you were wearing. Now we got kickers wearing 33s. Amazing.
Like, we understand that, right? Like, college has that sort of like intrigue. Like, okay, number 1 for a big fat defensive tackle. Okay, that's charming. In the NFL, like, can we just get back to the old ways? The normal numbers. Everybody knows who they are. I'm like, oh, that's Jadeveon Clowney wearing number 2? Like, no, come on now. Just put him in his normal number and let's be away with it at this point. But we did have one more football game to cover. We're going to get to that next. Vegas Raiders. Joe and Erie, Donnie right side right here on the early line on the SportsGrid Network. 23-23. If you like Michael Jordan, you loved that game last night. It was the Raiders. It was the Seahawks. Ends up in a tie. But if you did say, you know what, I took the points with the Seattle Seahawks at home, you cashed in and you won that football game. Aiden O'Connell played yesterday. Drew Lock played yesterday. Saw Geno Smith for just a little bit. Jalen Milroe, by the way, 6 of 10, 61 yards passing, a passer rating of 77.5, which you'd like to see that higher. But here's what I like the best, Joe. 3 carries, 38 yards. He's going to be a part of that offense. How big a piece of that offense? Probably going to be up to him. But I think everybody was intrigued about this game, not necessarily because you wanted to see the final score unless you had a ticket. You wanted to see a little Ashton Genty. Didn't play all that much, didn't play all that well, but you did want to take a look at Jalen Milroe last night. 23-23 final last night, Joe. Raiders, Seahawks.
Yeah, and it was really a tale of 2 halves here because the Raiders were abysmal in the first half of this game. It was dominated by Drew Lock and the Seahawks. I mean, you had Geno out there for 1 series, and then you had Aiden O'Connell the rest of the way for the most part. And listen, it wasn't good until, of course, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th stringers started coming in. Then all of a sudden it was good. But we had guys, I mean, they were attempting 50. Every time I turned around, it was a 50-yard, 55-yard field goal attempt or something going on there. We didn't see any of the Sam Darnolds, the Kenny Walkers. We didn't see Cooper Kupp. We didn't see any of the guys we wanted to see there on that side of the ball for Seattle. But they dominated the Raiders in the first half of this game. Wasn't even close, 16-3. And then, of course, the backups came in, and that's where it changed for the Raiders in the second half.
Yeah, what do you think the angle is this year for Jalen Milroe? Like, there will be packages for him to be used because he is electric when he has the football in his hands with a chance to run. I always remember this about, Cam Newton being in New England. Hey, maybe he could have stuck around and just been like that goal to go back, fourth down running back / quarterback at this point. Jalen Milroe is certainly a fun piece at this point, but obviously they spent big money on Sam Darnold to be their starting quarterback as well. I didn't get a lot out of this football game. Number one, I didn't watch a lot of this football game because it was on late, but Aiden O'Connell, 18 of 30 for 205. He's basically just sitting there as, can he be the backup quarterback, knowing now that Geno Smith is the full-time starter for the Vegas Raiders at this point right now. But just looking at the overall statistics, not impressive either way. It was a lot more fun handicapping those first two games of the night because it seemed like there was more intrigue. Cincinnati Bengals starters, quarterback competition in Indy. We didn't really have too many competitions as a late-night game, so it's probably, rightful that it did end up in a tie at 23-23.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Seattle picked him off twice in the second quarter, Aiden O'Connell. And it wasn't like they were the starters there. So, the backup defensive backs for Seattle were having a field day jumping the routes because he was telegraphing everything there. So, but, again, it is what it is, Raiders. But I'm not sure that it's that much of an upgrade with Geno Smith. But for the most part, the defense of Seattle, I think, was maybe the most impressive unit in the first half of this game. I thought they did a lot of really good things, and even the backups, again, picking guys off. They seem to be way ahead of the offense in a lot of different areas.
Yeah, certainly have here, but we'll see them moving forward. You got game one, you got game two, you got game three, you got the full season cuts, then you head into September for the regular season. Do you know who's not going to be there in the regular season this year? Rashawn Slater, star left tackle of the Los Angeles Chargers, a devastating injury because when you handicap that football team, the strength of the Chargers is the offensive line. The strength of the Chargers is being able to run the football. The strength of the Chargers is being able to hold off that pass rush and let Justin Herbert, sort of matriculate that ball downfield. What a devastating injury, which also understand this. That's a patella injury. Like, that is a serious injury. There are no guarantees that you just pop back, Joe, and you're back to normal even in a year at this point. Hopefully the surgery goes well, but for a guy, it's a double-edged sword for the organization, right? Paid the guy because you want to. He's a superstar. But that said, superstar gets injured later. $92 million in guarantees. He's going to be just fine the rest of his career, whether or not he wants to play again or not. But for the Chargers this year in 2025, the injuries also, Joe, they just don't stop. You lose your superstar left tackle. There's no saying that you can even get a decent left tackle, and he could even stay healthy for the season itself.
Yeah, it's tough, man, because the offensive line was going to be one of the biggest strengths of this team, and nobody knows it better than Coach Harbaugh there. But, you can't replace a guy like this. The good news is they have another young guy in Alt, the former Notre Dame offensive lineman who knows a lot about left tackle. He's played a lot of it, and they might have to switch him over there now to protect to protect Herbert. But you can't. The guy's only given up 3 sacks and over 500 dropback attempts. Man, that's why they gave him the extension that they gave him here. This is the guy literally in charge of protecting Herbert's blind side, and now, unfortunately, stupid freak injury during practice. Guy falls into his leg, and here we are. He's out for the entire year. It's just unfortunate.
Maybe dodging a bullet here in Houston. C.J. Gardner-Johnson traded away from the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles to go down to the Texans to be the mouth of the South, if you will. He goes down with an injury, looked really serious, but it turns out his ACL is intact. I guess they're going to do more like MRIs and test on that knee today, but it looks like he might have avoided the catastrophic injury.
Yeah, he was happened on during a tackle during practice that they're having right now in West Virginia. So good news. Unfortunate that it happened, but good news is they're not expecting it to be season ending. So he is going to be a big part of that secondary and that defense. It'd be great to get him back on the field.
Cam Hayward seems like he's on the last legs in the NFL, but still a really good football player for the Steelers. And sometimes you just want to take care of your own. It doesn't seem like right now that the Pittsburgh Steelers want to do that. I understand with the contract negotiation, he's basically on a year-to-year deal. He has one final deal. It's like $15 million this year, which they accelerated a lot of those guarantees earlier in the offseason. But now he's got those guarantees, and now he goes, well, I want a little bit more for the future right now. Sort of an impasse right now in camp for the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cam Hayward. They're all world tackle.
71 tackles last year and 8 sacks at 35 years old here. He has been with this organization, and it's so Steelers, right? Because he's been with them since the 2011 when they drafted him, right? But the combo of him and Watt is just, you can't get away from it. I mean, that is a huge 1-2 punch, and you need that. So I'm sure he's not asking for the world. But whatever it is, I'm sure the Steelers can figure out a way to make him happy and keep those two on the field this year.
Exactly. The way to your hearts in Pittsburgh is having a bone-crushing defense. Highsmith, Harmon, Hayward, and Watt. Keep those guys together. That's your chance at winning football games. A really good defense on deck. You just want to make sure you have all those pieces in game number one and happy moving forward. Cam Hayward, Mr. Steeler, I think they'll get a deal done sooner than later, but it seems like you're in impasse right now. But there is still time before the regular season. He's just sitting out some of those practices at this point. A guy that won't be sitting out this weekend, you know who that is? That's Travis Hunter, man. Going both ways on Saturday night. The intriguing part's going to be is what's more the focal point? Splashes on offense, splashes on defense, full-time offense, a little bit on defense. We don't know exactly how they're going to deploy Travis Hunter. And the one thing I do know, Joe, they're not exactly going to tell you how they're going to deploy Travis Hunter. Keep it under wraps.
I wouldn't either, to tell you the truth. But, we'd be crazy to think that they didn't draft him in order not to utilize his set of skills. Very unique set of skills there, Donnie, on both sides of the football. I'm looking very forward to it. I think ultimately they will decide whether it's defense or offense that he is going to play the majority of snaps this season, but it's going to be fun to see him on both sides of the ball.
No, it will. And also, understand, where he's actually going to dominate. And there's that tug of war, right, where Liam Cohen's like, okay, I'm the head coach, but I'm also the offensive coordinator. And then you see Trevor Lawrence saying, what do you want to do? Break up, I'll pass a game? Or you want to come over here and I'll fire that football your direction, double digits, you'll score touchdowns, you go over 100 yards, you'll have much more fun on offense. If you were pulling the strings here, Joe, where does he play more?
Listen, you want to try to give your $250 million quarterback that you overpaid as many weapons as humanly possible. So let him play offense until your defense gets burned and you need him on that side.
Right back out of here. Hour number 2, the early line. You know you love it. It's the SportsGrid Network. It's Donnie, it's Joe. We're carrying you through, setting up a monster weekend here for you that includes the NFL, that includes Major League Baseball, and a lot more, and also some of the hottest topics that we love to talk about, which we're going to get to a hot topic in just a few moments because I can't read between the lines with this certain player, this university, and his family, which we'll get to, Joe. But the vibes are high. The weekend is here. The people made it through Monday through Friday, always the toughest. Everybody is working for the weekend, I think they said before, Joe. Is that correct?
I believe Loverboy said that, but yes,
there you go.
I am with you here. I'm absolutely positive of that, and it holds true here because we are now just a couple of weeks away from that week 0 weekend kicking it all off, and then it just it goes straight up from there.
By the way, you want a little Loverboy trivia right here? Did you know John Bon Jovi wrote Living on a Prayer specifically for Loverboy, but decided to keep it here? Where would we be in this world if Bon Jovi didn't sing Living on a Prayer and Loverboy got it, Joe Ranieri?
Oh, it's well, we probably wouldn't be talking about it at all because if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, it doesn't really make a sound, Donnie. So, but kudos to John Bon Jovi for holding on to that wonderful piece of music that he kept.
Exactly. You know what the people are going to hear right now? Fade the public. That's what they're going to hear.
Ooh.
Now's the time right now on the SportsGrid Network on the early line. We like to reach out to the people and ask them a question. And boy, we got a hotly contested one this morning, and rightfully so. And it deals with Arch Manning and being at Texas. We'll get into the intricacies in just a few moments, but the question was asked on our account on X at SportsGrid. The question was, will Arch Manning stay at Texas beyond this season? 2 answers here, obviously. It's yes and it's no. Did you know the yes right now is 50.7%? The no is 49.3% right now. Right down the middle, Joe Ranieri. Which way did you go?
Listen, we talked about this yesterday, and to me, this has everything to do and is correlated to the success that Texas has this year. If Texas has the kind of year that, well, Texas always thinks they're going to have, let's be realistic here. And we are having conversations about, Arch Manning being the Heisman winner, then there's no reason for him to come back to Texas because the market will never be as good as it's going to be in the draft for him. But if we're talking about a guy that, well, maybe he doesn't have the greatest of year, Texas doesn't win a national championship, well, then there's always the option for him to come back for one more year. It's not like he's been a starter for the last 2 years either, Donnie. So I think this is all correlated between what happens now until January. And then if it's not as good as we think it may be, well, then he can always go back to Texas.
The Manning family has money, and I'm sure Cooper Manning does have money because Cooper is the father, obviously, of Arch Manning. It's not Peyton Manning, and it's not Eli Manning, because there will be sort of a process for me. It's like, you know what? Like if your dad is a billionaire and you say, okay, I'm going to go to college and I just want to work at the gas station. You can do that because you yourself are still a billionaire. It doesn't matter. But I understand that Cooper's probably got some money, but generational money like his two brothers do, probably not at this point. Where it's like, hey, son, don't worry, just have fun. And even if you don't want to be a professional quarterback, you don't have to. You can go be a teacher, which will be fine. But that's not the interest of Arch Manning right now. So what is the deal? Because usually players at his level are fast-tracked. You see them coming in 8th grade all the way through high school. They get to college. And the most important thing is, let me put on a show. The faster I get to the NFL, be a professional, the faster I get to that second contract, and the money really starts to kick in. And also, you see like the gifted and talented programs in grade school, in middle school, in high school. They're designed to take the super talented kids and take them out of the regular class so they can excel. That's what a quarterback does when you think he's going to be a generational talent. Now, the one thing I don't understand, because even being a competitor, are you telling me that the family had the plan where no matter what happened, he's going to Texas, no matter what the competition level was, and if he can beat them out, Steve Sarkisian, don't you dare start this kid. I don't want him playing football until he's a junior. And then if he does play as a junior and he's absolutely fantastic, he's not leaving school because we want him to play another 13 games in college just to get ready for the professional ranks. Something is amiss in this concept because we're led to believe he's a generational talent. But he can't beat out quarterbacks his first 2 years in college, and now he's a junior. Do you see where I'm going with this, Joe? Like something just doesn't add up to me in the Arch Manning situation.
Yeah, they slow played it for whatever reason, the family. But when his grandfather comes out and says that he anticipates him coming back to Texas next year, it's not like he doesn't talk to the kid. I mean, they're a very close family. He's apparently got a ridiculously close relationship with his grandfather. So there's got to be some doubt. He's never done it consistently. He's never been a starting quarterback at this level over any period of time. Can he do it consistently? What does he have? 95 total pass attempts, I think, in his college career so far. I mean, he might have that there in the first couple of games this year. So there's a lot of unknown, but I think it's very smart to give options, right? To leave avenues open if you're Arch Manning. The pressure and all of the noise is going to be for you to not only, first and foremost, you better win a championship at Texas, because that's what everybody expects every year. The Texas fan base is crazy. But it's championship or bust here. And if you don't live up to that name, well, then, okay, but you can always come back. So I think it's smart of them leaving the option and letting people realize, listen, if it doesn't happen this year, this is a very young Texas team too, Donnie, don't forget. This is a team that I think there's only 5 starting seniors on this team. Everybody else is an underclassman. So would it be the worst thing for him to come back another year when everybody stays together and all of a sudden they got a year under their belt? I don't think that's the worst thing either.
Yeah, just as like a competitor, like, and I'm not knocking Arch Manning. I don't know the kid, but like if I show up on campus day number one with a lot of hype, my goal is to cut everybody in front of me, absolutely destroy them in competition. That goes, yeah, even if the game plan was me not to play my freshman year, have Coach Sark look down the list and be like, I don't care what the program is. I'm calling your dad tonight. You're starting tomorrow against Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry. Like that's just the way it's supposed to be. So I understand there was a game plan moving forward, but it just does add doubt. Like, he's not going to play his first 2 years. Like Quinn Ewers wasn't all in every game. There were so many tweets I put up last year watching Texas games. Like, I don't understand. Is Arch Manning not that good? Is there something that we don't know about? Because Quinn Ewers looks terrible in this football game, but yet he can't crack the starting lineup. But if we do look at the Heisman race, it's been impacted here No doubt about it.
Mhm.
You look at the odds. Garrett Nussmeier's the favorite right now, plus 340 price. Cade Klubnik, plus 380. Lenora Sellers, plus 380. Drew Aller, plus 470. They're all quarterbacks. Then there's Arch Manning at a plus 850 price. Are we saying to ourselves, you know what? We see the MVP market in the National League and the American League in baseball. You should just be taking these guys at these lower prices. Eventually they'll be there. Or excuse me, number one pick odds. Arch Manning plus 850. Same thing you can use in the Heisman odds. Like, how can't
Yep.
this be? He needs to be the starting quarterback. He needs to play well. And I would still bank that he's going to get drafted.
Well, there's again, if this is a kid that we're talking about that is going to be competing in the playoffs and competing for a possible national championship as the starting quarterback in the University of Texas, yeah, he's in likelihood going to be the number one pick. But I think all of those names on that list, he's the one with the least amount of experience as a starter. So I get what the odds are. But the reality is all of these guys, depending on how they perform this year, will depend on where they're drafted next year.
Tanking for Nussmeier doesn't sound the same thing as like tanking for Arch
No.
Manning. Tanking for Cade Klubnik out here, Lenora Sellers, all fine football players is the way we go, but all eyes are on the prize in Austin, and that prize is Arch Manning, who, if you look at, say, my uncles, yeah, they did pretty well in the NFL with MVPs and Super Bowls and maybe both being in the Hall of Fame. I think I could do the same thing. We'll see if he plays really well at Texas this year. And they go, hey, you know what? One more year is good. As we talked about before with Matt Leinart. Hey, go back and have ballroom dancing and basket weaving. Just about ruined his career. He should have came out earlier, but didn't. More talk next. A hot topic. Oh, it truly is a Football Friday right here on the SportsGrid Network. Why is that? Because the early line's going to take a look at a triple header tonight in NFL action. 2 games at 7 o'clock, 1 game at 7:30. But the game that maybe gets the most eyeballs tonight is Cleveland and Carolina. Estimated starting quarterback, Shedeur Sanders. What are the odds, Joe Ranieri, for you tonight that if the Cleveland Browns win this football game and Shedeur starts, he takes the mic and goes, Cleveland, this is for you.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the reality, Donnie, is that we know the Browns are going to be absolutely atrocious, total dumpster fire this year. We know this in that division there. When you have a quarterback room with Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and a couple of rookies and Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, nothing good is going to come from that during the regular season. But what it may give us here is a pretty good Browns preseason team, because each of these guys is going to be laying it all out on the line to try and keep their job in that room and possibly be the starting quarterback. So I think Shedeur will have his opportunity. The spotlight is nothing new to him. But I do think when push comes to shove late in the games, the Browns are worth looking at in the preseason because of that competition and because each guy is going to want to level up here and get it done to keep their job. So I would definitely look towards the Browns in this one, given the fact that, yeah, a lot of these guys, it's do or die this season.
Now, I haven't gone through everything in this game, but obviously, you know, Shedeur is starting here. Do we have a definitive answer on how long he's expected to play in this game? Is it a first quarter, the second quarter? So we don't know those numbers.
Yep.
Here's what I want to do. Like, I want to ask you some questions. Let's just say Shedeur is going to get the start. Like, we want to give the kid a look. It's the first half, right? First preseason game. Shedeur Sanders' first pass completion tonight, or excuse me, first pass to be a completion tonight, minus 175. Any thoughts on that singular bet right there? Which means you probably open up with a handoff, and everybody knows this. I doubt Shedeur Sanders' first play is going to be a double max protection, 70-yard bomb down the field to see if he can throw it there. It just feels to me like a dump off into the flat to get the kid going, but it's a minus 175. How do you feel about that prop? Shedeur's first pass to be a completion tonight to the yes, minus 175.
How about this, Donnie? How about the first pass Shedeur completes is to himself? How about he just throws it to himself here? Because that's it. Just let me get it done here. That's because that's what Dion would want me to do. No, I think they're going to be he was listed as the fourth stringer here, right? He was fourth on the depth chart, but injuries have obviously, now they've catapulted him. They're going to want to see what he can do. But it would not shock me if they just let him air it out. It really wouldn't, Donnie. I mean, what do you have to lose at this point here? So I bet you the first pass isn't completed, although he is very accurate. How about this? Whatever the prop is on his first pass intercepted, I'll take it.
By the way, I've been it's like sometimes these props obviously hit or miss. We don't know how long they're going to
Mm.
play. We always talk about like betting in a vacuum. Like, yeah, I know he's going to play 4 quarters unless he gets injured. Shedeur Sanders to have one touchdown pass in the game tonight. You would probably think it would be heavily like plus money because rookie coming in, we don't know how long he's going to play. It's plus 105. So if I told you that price point there, do you think Shedeur Sanders throws a touchdown pass tonight going up against the Carolina Panthers?
I do. I do. Let's face it, Carolina has invested a lot into the defensive side of the ball where they were atrocious last year. But remember what they were last year, Donnie. They were one of the worst rushing defenses last year. I could see a lot of ground and pound in this one, but I'd be willing to take a shot with Shedeur throwing a TD pass. You know he's going to take his shots, right? And being under duress is not new for him. So I would be willing to bet that he gets both a TD and an interception at some point tonight.
Yeah, we take a look at the week 1 starting odds here for the Cleveland Browns, right?
Mm.
Joe Flacco at a minus 180 price, which I never thought he should be the quarterback, but it just feels like he is going to be that, and rightfully so, being the favorite. You take a look at Kenny Pickett at a plus 280 price, and also Dylan Gabriel at a 6-1, Shedeur Sanders at a 25-1 price. So a lot is on the line, but also usually we hear this big quarterback news like, okay, guys are fighting for spots. Like it moves in your direction, but Cleveland is a 6.5-point dog at most outlets tonight on the road against the Carolina Panthers. So no buybacks here for the Cleveland Browns, apparently.
No, but that's what, we saw this last night, right? Does that trend continue where, the dogs were barking last night and, well, they also happen to be all home dogs. You've got Carolina laying 6.5. I don't know about that. We've got a quarterback battle happening tonight with the Browns. We have no quarterback controversy happening in Carolina, ironically.
And a lot of times you bet with your gut. It's like, okay, I think this is what's going to happen. I think Shedeur is going to be set up for success. I think they're going to game plan. Then it doesn't turn out to work out, and that's the preseason. It's what you get. Game number 2 tonight I want to take a look at, Detroit and Atlanta, which is intriguing to me. Not because for the Atlanta Falcons, and not really because of Detroit, but just the circumstances. Like Dan Campbell, okay, this season is on me. I don't have my superstar coordinators. I'm not even talking about Aaron Glenn was a great defensive coordinator. He just got dealt a bad card last year because why? The entire defense was injured down the stretch. But Ben Johnson, widely respected as one of the best offensive minds in football, he's not there, which now leaves Dan Campbell. I'll run this ship all by myself. I will be just fine. They were embarrassing in week 0 of the preseason. Again, that Pro Football Hall of Fame game. Again, preseason doesn't mean a lot, but there's pride in that building that they got crushed. So I see that price point at minus 3.5, and I want to buy into it as a favorite for Detroit. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. But also, do you want to get beat like 28-7 again and just have people start to ask questions like, well, maybe it is your coordinators, even though it is only in the preseason? Like, I just feel like I need to bet Detroit tonight because they can't lose this game because Dan Campbell's like, I need a better performance or we're going to go to boot camp next week.
Well, the problem is it's Hendon Hooker and Kyle Allen again. So kudos. Good luck with that. But the other situation here is that you're not going to see Michael Penix or Kirk Cousins. You're going to see Easton Stick. Who? Yeah, Easton Stick, the former Charger backup, who is now vying for a spot here with Atlanta. It'll be him and Emory Jones, the former University of Florida QB there, who will finish out the game. So nothing screams big offensive efforts here, but you're right. Dan Campbell, not happy last week, but he also, secondary, a whole bunch of injuries right now for Detroit. Offensive lineman was hobbled in last week's game, so I don't know how much they're going to push the envelope, but it does feel like Dan Campbell will have the Lions cleaning up some of those mistakes they made last week. The effort will certainly be there. But given those two quarterbacks, I don't know that it'll be enough here to win this game.
Last game of the night, again, just will be 7:30. It's nice. You don't even have that nightcap. Everything's going to be getting going in the 7 o'clock hour. That is the Washington Commanders taking on the New England Patriots. That line is 6.5. So breaking down that game, not a lot of intrigue to me. We know Drake May is going to be the starter. Obviously, Jaden Daniels on the Washington side. But last night, Joe, if you just blind bet all 3 dogs, you won 2 outright and pushed on another one. Fantastic odds. If you parlayed it, you would have made some good money. So I'm going to ask you that same question tonight. Carolina, 6.5-point favorite here. Detroit, 3.5-point favorite. New England, 6.5-point favorite. If you blind bet the underdogs tonight, how does it turn out?
Yeah, it's it'll probably be a profitable night, but I'm not quite sure what we're going to get here with the Patriots and the Commanders. They've been practicing all week, right? So we know that. We also know that not one, not two, but 4 offensive linemen are dealing with injuries on the Patriots. So that means there are going to be a lot of guys in the trenches tonight looking to battle for paychecks and contracts here tonight. And we know Vrabel, the effort will be there, the toughness will be there. I think the Patriots could very well roll the Commanders here tonight at home.
Yeah, nice slate of games, and I always like to the preseason, which it is quite boring, but it's nice that they go Thursday night, Joe, Friday night, Saturday, and into Sunday. And correct me if I'm wrong, no, there looks like there's no, or at least on my docket right here, Monday night games. With that final game on Sunday is a 4:00 start between the New Orleans Saints here and the Chargers. By the way, I do think that game has a good chance to go over here. Jack Hayner's out there, Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shuck. My goodness, out here looks fantastic.